high school athletics has been served such a curveball during this entire pandemic, but they are resuming some sports, not normally though. So let's check in with Eric Pierce. He's the athletic director over at West Bloomfield High School. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So you're the assistant principal as well, right?
That's right. I do have some assistant principal duties as well.
Nothing like juggling two hats during a pandemic. So we're getting our money, our tax dollars out of you. So Eric, tell us, how are things going?
I'd be lying if I didn't say there weren't some sleepless nights for us over here in the athletic department. But, the big thing is the kids are doing a great job. They're adhering to all the protocols that we have set. They really wanted to play. They really want to be out there. So they're doing everything that they possibly can to make sure that they can continue to play. And if that means, wearing a mask, they're going to wear the mask. If that means that they need to social distance from each other, they're going to do those things because they all want their seasons, and I can't blame them.
Eric, for those that aren't familiar, what are some of those guidelines that are in place for our student athletes? Because I think there probably is some curiosity, maybe even concern from the public about how they're going about keeping these guidelines in their everyday life and how it maybe will impact the numbers in terms of COVID-19.
For sure. So basically, we started practicing June 16th. That was the first day that we were allowed to start practicing. And once we started on June 16th, we implemented some COVID protocols right away. These protocols included things like arriving to practice with your mask on, participating during practice and keeping social distance. For our outside activities, we lined our south end zone. There's little blue dots that are out there, and that's where each person has to keep their personal possession. They have to have their own separate water bottles. Obviously, they're social distance in groups during practice as much as they possibly can. Now that we're in full swing with the season, the governor and the MHSA decided that we were going to go through and have masks on during the actual competition. So for sports that do have contact, like football, soccer, you're seeing that the student athletes do have their mask on while they're playing. Sports that have social distancing, like golf, tennis, cross country, you won't see the mask on during the actual events.
Eric Pierce joined us, the athletic director at West Bloomfield High School today on the Oakland County MegaCast. So that mandate went into effect fairly recently, and for those contact sports athletes, such as the soccer players, the football players, how are they adjusting to that? They've had some chances to practice, I would presume, while wearing those masks. Has it been a tough adjustment for them?
It's as I said before, they're willing to do anything to keep on playing. Obviously, they're not overly comfortable with having the mask on at all times, but you'll see sometimes during games the mask will fall down, or during practice it'll fall down. But the best part about it has been seeing the other players on the team say, hey, we need to put it back up. We need to make sure that we're doing the right things so they can continue on with their season. So it's been a little bit of an adjustment for them. I'd be lying if I was saying it weren't, but they're definitely adjusting and handling it well.
Well, we even have issues wearing masks while we're speaking, and they fall down as well. So, those things happen to all of us. There is a great leadership team over there at the West Bloomfield High School trying to keep these kids motivated. What is the mental side of this, of the student athletes that you're seeing?
For sure. When we brought back sports this year and we were given the green light to start practicing right away, just to see the students when they came to practice and to see how uplifted they were after being, sitting at home or being isolated from their friends and people they generally hang out with or people they have interpersonal conversations with. It was just absolutely amazing to see how they just fit right in, how they all jumped right in and started enjoying something. To be able to come and participate in the sport is something that these student athletes need. They really do. It's part of their everyday, and it's part of keeping them. We always talk about mental health here at the high school, and that's one of the big aspects of it, is to be able to participate in activities that you love. And this gives those students an avenue to do that.
Yeah, and do you think it's even more important because they are remote for school classes?
for sure. There's no doubt about it. They need that personal interaction, and the athletics are providing that for them right now. Because when they're on their Zooms, a lot of times they're not having that chance to talk to the people in their class. But in addition to that, it's the whole seeing them face to face. That's something. I have a teenage daughter as well, and that's something that's really affecting her. She just wants to see her friends. She wants to hang out with them. She wants to be around them. And that's why it's so great that we're able to provide a safe way for these student athletes to do this through our sports programs here right now.
Eric Pierce joining us. He's the athletic director over at West Bloomfield High School with us today on the Oakland County MegaCast. So for high school in West Bloomfield, all classes are virtual at this moment in time. So there's not really a chance of spread of COVID in class, but there's always a chance of spread outside of the classroom. What other precautions are you inspiring your players from the athletic department and their individual teams downward to do in order to further prevent their chances of being exposed or exposing others potentially to COVID-19?
No, that's a great question. And the first thing is just to educate them, to make sure that they understand exactly how everything can be passed along. We encourage them not to go to social gatherings where they're going to be in close contact with a lot of people for a long period of time. You know, the CDC, they say 6 feet for 15 minutes. That's a big indicator of whether or not COVID can be passed along. So anytime somebody has been in a spot that might compromise them in terms of COVID-19, we make sure that we're quarantining those athletes. And then we're monitoring our other athletes. Every single day, the student athletes that come in, they have to take the COVID screener where they have to scan a QR code and they answer the 5 COVID questions that we have. We temperature check everybody as they come into practice every day. If anybody's experiencing any type of symptoms, obviously, number one, they're going home for the day. Number two, if that expands over to another day, we send them home again and we ask them to come back with a doctor's note that says that it wasn't anything related to COVID-19. We are taking as many precautions as we possibly can to make sure that these student athletes are safe. And once again, like I said, the coaches, the student athletes themselves, they police each other to make sure everybody's doing the right things.
As you said, you've had a lot of sleepless nights over this. You put the protocols in place, but what is the plan if you have an outbreak?
Well, the first plan if there's an outbreak is obviously we'll contact the Oakland County Health Department and they'll kind of steer the ship from there. We'll follow everything that they tell us to do. If that means that we have to pull our teams and put them in quarantine, then we'll do that. There have been some other schools that have had to do that with certain teams, and that's just something that we're aware of. And there's certain risks that are associated with playing sports at all times. This is just another one of those risks. But eventually, if it comes down to a question of erring on the side of caution, we're going to do that.
One of the hard things about this virus, people may test positive, yet they're asymptomatic. Is there any discussion about doing some sort of weekly rapid test, or is that expense just out of the question on a high school level?
That's not something that we're prepared to make our students, that we're prepared to force them to do right now. Expense-wise, obviously, is one of the reasons. I think that's infringing a little bit on a person's private beliefs to also force them to do those things. But no, there hasn't been any talk about doing rapid tests for our student athletes. As you can see in some of the other sports, obviously the professional sports that are out there, they're doing those tests and they're doing them consistently. We're just trying to stick to our protocols and our safety procedures to prevent the spread. And if our students have been placed in a compromised position in terms of where they've been over a weekend or something like that, let's say, then we are quarantining those students and keeping them away from the rest of the team.
Eric Pierce with us, the athletic director at West Bloomfield High School, joining us today on the Oakland County MegaCast. Eric, in terms of audience participation in this season, there's not going to be any general admission granted to fans of West Bloomfield sports for home or away games. There are a limited amount of people that can join an away party, for example, this Friday's opening football game against Oak Park. How is that being managed, and how is that determined between your athletic department and other athletic departments, both for your home games at West Bloomfield High School and for West Bloomfield Athletics away matchups at a variety of different schools in the local area?
So there's been kind of a variety of different answers to this, Tyler, to be honest with you. And there's some schools, and it's their right that are saying, hey, we're not sure if we want to have spectators at our events right now. West Bloomfield High School has decided that we're going to allow 2 spectators per participant, similar to what the MHSA recommended, that there would be 2 spectators per participant. So we're going to go on and do that for indoor as well as outdoor activities. This Friday's game at Oak Park, they haven't decided if they're going to allow spectators yet. Now, when we do allow spectators at away events or at home events, there's a couple of different ways that we are monitoring who comes in. First and foremost, a list is usually provided with a roster of the team that's coming in. So if we're hosting, let's say, Stony Creek in a soccer match, Stony Creek will send me a list of all their players, a roster, and then their 2 guests per participant that they have. They'll have to come to our will call, which is our ticket check-in booth, and we'll check them off. We'll give them a temperature scan before they come in. They have to be wearing masks, and then they're able to socially distance themselves in our bleachers. That's kind of been the consistent protocol that other schools have done as well. There's also a ticket system that people are doing where they hand tickets to 2 tickets to each player before the game, and they're free to give it to whoever they want in terms of the 2 tickets. And then you turn in the 2 tickets when you check in. I personally like the list idea better because we know exactly who's coming into our stadium at that time, and we can trace back exactly who was there because we actually checked them off as they came into the stadium.
So many nitty-gritty details to try to figure out and change consistently and constantly during this pandemic. But now that we've pretty much gone over all the protocols and everything that's changed, let's get down to sports. Tell us what teams are playing and how are they doing right now?
So we're very excited to have a full complement of sports that are participating in the fall right now. Our volleyball team just got inside a week ago, basically. So they played a couple matches. They had an excellent year last year. We're looking for wonderful things from them. Girls swim is just getting in the pool again. So their first meet is this Thursday. And I'm excited to see exactly how they're doing. Our boys soccer team's doing a wonderful job right now. Recently, this last Saturday, they tied Troy Athens, who's the defending state champion, in a match. So a lot of exciting things going on with that as well. I mean, we have a full complement, obviously, with boys tennis, girls and boys cross country. We have girls golf going on right now, equestrian, sailing. And then obviously you talked about it a little bit before, but football is another one that's going to start this week with our first game this Friday against Oak Park.
Eric Pierce joining us on the Oakland County MegaCast all across the local area. So schedules are still subject to change. They're going to be they're going to be decided on the local level. Are those mostly finalized at this point, or is there still some conversation across the board with no specific sport in particular going forward as time goes on about how that may be modified, whether it is to keep more games in the OAA or to just balance out the schedules more?
No, so what we're doing is we're taking care of our league contest first. That's the big priority of the OAA, the conference that we're in, is we want to make sure that we can still crown our league champions in all sports. So every OAA game is still expected to be played. Sometimes that means that we might have to cancel a non-conference or a non-league opponent in order to fit in those OAA games. But as of right now, we should pretty much be set in terms of our schedule. It should be finalized. If you go to westbloomfieldathletics.com, you'll see our full schedule on there, our complement of schedules on there. And there shouldn't be that many changes from here on out. Knock on wood.
Right. I was just going to say fingers crossed. Eric Pierce, athletic director, assistant principal over at West Bloomfield High School. Just a couple more minutes with you here on the MegaCast. Anything that we didn't touch on that you want the listeners and the viewers to know?
The big thing is that we're very excited to be offering athletics this fall. Obviously, it was a huge question mark after the spring sports season was canceled last year. And to be able to have our athletes come out and participate is a wonderful thing for them. I know people have concerns. I know they're worried about the spread of COVID at this time. Please be assured that our student athletes are doing the right things. They really are. They're following the right protocols. They're taking care of themselves. And we're looking out for their best interests. We're trying to make sure that they stay safe out there. To have teams like we have and to have such an integral part of our what we call Laker Nation is our sports programs, our athletic programs, and to be able to still be able to cheer and support these teams, it provides a little bit of, and I'm going to use the term, sense of normalcy for everybody out there. And I can't wait until that first Friday night football game where we can see our Lakers go out there and play Oak Park. I can't wait to go see volleyball play again. I've been fortunate to see soccer play already. Those are things that I look forward to, and I know parents are looking forward to, and I know a lot of the students are looking forward to as well.
Yeah, West Bloomfield has some amazing high school athletes. Do you think, too, by them participating in a sport, that they understand the importance of following some of the rules and, keeping their social distance and wearing their masks, that maybe if they didn't have these sports, they would be going out with their friends and maybe not being as careful as they would be if they weren't on the team?
No, that's a great point, and you're right. Nobody wants to be that person that causes the team to lose their season, basically. Just like you're a member of the team and you're making plays on the field, what you do off the field is determining how you're going to affect your team on the field as well, especially in this era right now that we're living in. So nobody wants to be that person that does something wrong, that puts themselves in a horrible position, that causes the team to be quarantined or to stop the season from being played.
Eric Pierce with us. He's the athletic director over at West Bloomfield High School. Eric, when the MHSAA had initially canceled particularly the fall football season and put other sports on hold, some athletes were encouraged to begin the process of early enrollment so that they would be able to acclimate themselves to their teams at the next level, because their season, of course, in the fall was not going to be played. Are we expecting to see any of those players, in our case particularly on the football field, this fall, now that the season is back in regular place? Or are those early enroll potential athletes going to continue that process and forego the season?
You're going to see everybody that's on our roster that was expected to be on our roster playing. And, they wanted to come back for their senior season. If the football season did get moved to the spring, as you said before, we wouldn't have seen a Donovan Edwards, for instance, playing his final year here. But I'm excited that we're going to be able to do that. And it's going to be an exciting season. The 6 games of the regular season is great. And then the expanded playoffs with everybody making the playoffs, I think that adds a little something to it. It also adds a little sense of urgency right from the get-go. I'm really excited about our team. We've got a lot of experienced people, 5 returning starters on the offensive line, wonderful corner, Max Harrison that's going to be out there, Gavin Hardman, another commit that we have. And obviously we know Donovan with his accolades that he's received. And then our underclassmen are excellent as well, with a lot of offers. We're going to have an exciting program to watch here at West Bloomfield this year, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and let's hope that they continue the undergraduate or the I want to say graduate, but the younger players, that they have a future ahead of them, and next year they don't have to worry about trying to navigate COVID-19 or another pandemic. Eric, we want to say thank you so much for being with us, and a huge shout out to you and the entire team over there at the West Bloomfield High School. I know this has been a difficult time. It seems never ending, and you guys have been great, not only with us here at Civic Center TV, but also to all the parents and all the student athletes, trying to keep everyone updated as to what's going on. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of extra hours I'm sure that you have put in, but thank you to you or your team, and we are wishing you guys the best of luck this upcoming season in all of the sports.
Well, thank you so much. It really does take a coordinated effort here, and I'm fortunate to work with the people that I do work with. And we're very grateful for all the community support and the ability that you guys provide us to spread the message that we have in the school. So thank you as well.